and welcome viewers to yet another episode of Career Guidance, and today we have with us Professor Nikhil Chrungoo, who will guide us through a lot of interesting topics that we'll talk about. Professor Chrungoo needs no introduction in the scientific and academic community, not just in India but worldwide. He joined the Northeastern Hill University in 1988 as a lecturer. There is no looking back since then. He completed his Masters and PhD from the University of Kashmir. Professor Chrungoo has been an important member and visiting faculty in many institutions in India and abroad, like JNU, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, University of Victoria, Canada, among many others. Let us understand why molecular biology, botany, plant sciences are very important topics of discussion in this day and age. This is Nikita Gadal, your host for today. So, Dr. Chrungoo, can you please share about your experience in NEHU and how has this journey come together?
Well, I started my career after my doctorate in Kashmir in NEHU in the year 1988. And I still remember that day, 4th July 1988, when I landed up in Shillong and straight away went to the Mayurbhanj complex where our department was located. It was a different time at that time. We had the department located in a small building and we were taking our classes in a garage of the Maharaja of Mayurbhanj. Professor R.R. Sharma was the Vice Chancellor, and we loved teaching at that time. We had just 10 students per batch, and the whole thing was so vibrant that you would come into the department and you would feel that there is an element of excitation. From there, we gradually improved our standards, and in 1994, I presume, our department moved to the permanent campus here, and we shifted our equipments and building material and everything and laid out in the labs in this complex which you are here seeing here. At that time also we had less infrastructure. Over a period of time we improved our infrastructure, and it has been for me now 34 years I have been here. Started from a lecturer's position, then with promotion got into the associate professor and professor, headed this department for a period of 3 years, which is the tenure, and then currently I am the Dean of the School of Life Sciences, whose job is to look after the administrative and academic aspects of the 4 departments in this school. We have Department of Botany, Department of Biochemistry, Department of Biotechnology and Bioinformatics, and Department of Zoology. So we do work together collectively as a unit to look into the teaching aspects of various disciplines in life sciences as a whole. And our purpose is to see as much as good quality education that we can give to the people of this region. In between, I held other positions also. I coordinated a Department of Biotechnology funded program on human resource development for biotechnology activities. Based on the requirements of this region, Department of Biotechnology felt that there is a need to improve the manpower quality here. So we are now in the second phase of the program, a Biotech Hub program, which I coordinated. I was also associated with the university with Potential for Excellence program, in which UGC identified this university as one of the 9 universities in the country which had the potential for excellence. Under that program only, we framed the choice-based credit system. We created a central instruments facility for the School of Life Sciences. So we gradually transformed the university from a small institution into a big, vibrant institution collectively. Of course, it's not one man's contribution, under the guidance of the university administration. So, and that's what we are here. And I feel personally, well, proud to be part of this system. And at the end, when I am to relinquish my position from this university, I feel in my own way we have been together part of the system which contributed to the socio-economic, educational development of this region, which was the purpose for this establishing this university.
So you mentioned a couple of things, but then from the viewer's perspective and from somebody who is completely alien to your subject of study, the whole world is talking about things like artificial intelligence, they're talking about global warming. So my question to you is, how relevant is your subject of study, and what are the contributions as a whole that the department needs to make so that they are relevant in the whole field?
See, my discipline and the primary discipline of this department is plant sciences. You may call it botany, but we will call it in a holistic term plant sciences. And plants have so many important functions. In fact, had the plants not existed, we would not have existed. They are the primary producers of biomass, that is our food material. It comes primarily because of the existence of plants. Our oxygen levels which are maintained globally, it comes because plants are growing, and that way they are helping us in an inert way which we don't know. But from the social point of view, plants have been treated in this region from a faith perspective also, like we have what we call as sacred groves. Now, sacred groves, you can look at having a concept, don't touch, don't try anything, don't withdraw anything, don't remove anything. Our faith in this system, that these plants have to be allowed to grow, the natural diversity has to be maintained, and that helps us to maintain a system, ecosystem. The third point is from the industrial or a social point of view. Plants have medicinal properties. Plants help us to maintain, in fact, they are very important for maintaining the carbon dioxide levels, the temperature levels, prevention of global warming because of plants is there. Afforestation is important because if we lose our forests, the rainfall pattern will change, and we are experiencing that. The rainfall pattern changes. In fact, we might have noticed this year there was a sudden increase in temperature within 2 days, because of so many things which are happening at the ecosystem level. So for these things to be understood in a proper perspective by even a layman, it's important to disseminate the knowledge about the role of plants, the social impact of plants, the application impact of plants, the industrial impact of plants on the life of a common man. And that has been our purpose. This department is a Center for Advanced Studies. This is a UGC funded program. UGC identifies some departments on the basis of their academic performance into certain levels. We call it departmental research support. They call it departmental support, DSA. And the terminal one is Center for Advanced Studies. This department is the first Center for Advanced Studies in plant sciences in Northeastern region. Now that's because of our work. And our work has been in diverse areas: functional biology, where plants are important component; microbiology, again where the microbial, the underground microbial resources of this region which are important sources of various functional molecules, which can be harvested, like fermented foods. Fermentation occurs because of the presence of microbes. So if we know what microbes we have, we will be able to develop processes for developing fermented foods. Similarly, in ecosystem services, forests are important component of ecosystem services. How much water will flow, how much water has to be conserved, how much leaf decay is expected to take place, how much temperature is increasing over a period of time. So in all these areas, this department has, I understand, since its inception, it was established in 74. So since its inception, it has been able to contribute significantly to the knowledge domain in the area of plant sciences. And I see this region as one of the highest, I will say, awareness about ecology and ecosystems and biodiversity rather than many compared to many other areas. And one of the reasons is the interaction of the faculty of this department with the society as such, by organizing refresher courses, by organizing short-term programs. We organize programs for college students, we organize programs for college teachers, university teachers. In fact, I would say I think 3-4 years back, we had organized a program for farmers on floriculture, orchids. So those things have helped the ground level
Yes.
for the system to be propagated in a way that I would understand. If you close the Department of Botany today, there will be a strong resentment because this department is providing a lot of inputs to the scientific community as well as to the students and the society of this region. And I'm sure this will continue in further also.
Which brings me to another question. Like when you talk about Northeast, you mentioned so many things about biodiversity. So how important is Northeast, like when it comes to these factors, and like how does it stand aloof from the rest of India?
In a certain way, Northeast, if you take in isolation, then we might be looking at certain pockets of this region. But if we take it holistically, Northeast will be, and in fact has been always, an important contributor for the knowledge domain in the country as a whole. This is the center for rice diversity. 9,000 plus cultivars of rice are known here from this place. You might have heard about black rice. Now, black rice is a delicacy which is consumed and exported across. Similarly, there is a form of tea called lemongrass. I take lemongrass tea only, and there is a company established by a native of this area only which exports lemongrass tree. So this region has been a strong contributor. The only difficulty has been the communication.
Right.
Over a period of time that has also improved, and now this region is, again I forget one by one, of oranges. This is citrus diversity, germplasm diversity here, and we are exporting oranges from this place to Bangladesh. This region is also a home to many, we call them underutilized crops, and one of the crops, buckwheat, which my group has worked up, we have a lot of diversity of these crops in this region which does not exist in the plains of the country. So intermingling of the resources from Northeast and the plains, mainland, which earlier we used to call, now there is no mainland and offland, it's important and has contributed significantly towards the development of the country, and that's why Government of India is also looking for Look East, Action East policy, because they want to go through this region now to the East Asia region rather than look only towards the West. So that's how it's helping. It's tremendously helping.
So prior to the interview, we were talking about digitalization, we were talking about the internet, and also for the younger generation, how education is accessible to all. So what would be your message, or what do you see, like over the years, you've seen things transforming. You spoke about your university being in a garage set up to a full-fledged, department here. So what are the main challenges, and also how do you think internet plays a role for the accessibility of information?
I will say delivery of education, transforming of the society, it has changed over a period of time. and so have the people, our young students in this area. Now, digitization of the education process has affected everyone, and as we see this transformation at the ground level, what we see is that skills need to be developed, and those skills are getting developed. See, I will give some examples where students can have better career, and where education can help them in the area of 3D animation, in the area of, I'll say, foreign languages, artificial intelligence, cyber security. Now, these are some of the areas. In the area of medicinal plants, transforming the wealth of plants into a product, and have established commercial units which can manufacture pharmaceuticals. Earlier there used to be a concept of medicines. Now there is a concept of nutraceuticals. I see in the shelves quinoa. We call it a superfood or a functional food. Now students are industry, or I will say common man from this place, can enter into these areas. I spoke about fermented foods, pickle. We have been taking pickle a lot. Fermented foods of this can be, the processes can be industrialized, patented, and then the commercialized. Because nowadays there is no dearth of transportation, and if we have digital economy, digital sales happening across the globe, so those limitations which existed earlier do not apply now. There's a company, I forgot the name, which is online now selling turmeric with the highest curcumin content, which is Lakandang variety of turmeric, and I see it even on Amazon. So if one person can do it, why can't another person do it, and why can't a larger number of people do it, which give us the background that if we are educated, which is being provided by the educational system of the area, we can convert that knowledge into a beneficial activity, and that beneficial activity will be commercialization and also social upliftment. And I must say here, that's for the information of my other colleagues as well as the students, the Government of India has several programs in this direction, including a major focus on societal development, where small projects are funded to different agencies, including colleges, to convert low-level technologies into high-end technologies. Department of Biotechnology has a BIREC program, wherein they are mentoring students to be startup CEOs. So those things are the need of the day. We can continue with doing masters, PhD, science, everything is okay. But how this knowledge domain gets transformed into a product activity, further knowledge which can be patented activity, that's important, and our department is proceeding in those directions.
So, but this also brings me to the question that, you mentioned very important factors. We're talking about population here, we're talking about global warming here. And we're also talking about subjects like biotechnology, we're talking about molecular biology. These are very relevant topics when it comes to this day and age. But when it comes to the layman and also the people who are not associated with the subject, they still see it as a subject which is far distant, and they get intimidated by the idea of the subject. So what do you think are the steps that we need to take so that more people are inclined to the subject, and also they realize that this is indeed an important subject of study?
There are several programs which are under operation, where we call them as tuning, where we are tuning the young minds into these types of activities by making them understand biotechnology is not something which we need to be scared of. Even preparation of yogurt is biotechnology. Preparation of bread is biotechnology. Earlier we used to get wheat breads, only wheat flour. Now we get mix, then we get ragi, then we get multigrain, then we get multigrain bread. These are all processes which have come out of scientific understanding of a topic or an aspect. So how we are trying to do it is in our department. I will give an example. We have a core program on plant sciences. We have a core program on molecular biology. We are mixing the two programs together also, wherein people learn from each other's disciplines. And this university has a choice-based system wherein besides these subjects, other subjects are also taken care of. Like if somebody wants to do take up some course on industrial microbiology, the course is available. Somebody wants to take a course on process development, the course is available. And we have a system of mentoring for the students. So once the student comes here, they are mentored into what is the importance of plant sciences as a whole and how they can benefit. And I must say here, we do have several students who have improved tremendously in life. I had a student, I don't want to name the student. She did her master's from this department, then she wanted to do PhD. We mentored her that, look, you stay here, you will learn as much as you have learned, a little bit more. Why don't you try to go to a better institution? She looked for a better institution, learned a little bit more, and then took and was awarded Fulbright Fellowship, came back after taking a Fulbright course, and is, I think, nearly about to submit her PhD. And she is always in constant touch with us, because that is the way we improve the scientific domain or knowledge skills. Skill is not only, even teaching is a skill. Getting a student motivated towards your program is a skill. But how much employment will it give? That is what is to be seen. So we have been doing consistently in that area, and our students have been performing well. As I understood in these 34 years, there was a time when the teachers who were teaching in colleges had come from Guwahati University. They were products of Guwahati University. Now, 99% of the teachers in colleges are products of Northeastern Hill University. So it has contributed, and it will continue to contribute in that direction again and again.
So you also mentioned about the choice-based credit system. So can you tell us about what exactly is it and about its implementation in NEHU?
The Education Ministry at that time thought that we are putting students in single stream. Like if a student does Mass BSc, he does BSc with a certain group of subjects, with the honors in a particular subject. Say I will speak about plant sciences. He does BSc in botany. Along with that, he does chemistry, zoology, or combination of subjects. So his whole mindset is tuned towards one direction, and he doesn't or she doesn't know much about other subjects. So we need to train students to diversify. So there are two concepts in that. One concept was that we should allow free access to everyone, to everything, anything. So a student from physics can take up botany, a person from botany can take up zoology. But that was too much at that stage for people to visualize. They visualize that let there be some core areas, and then there could be other areas which are of interest. Like in our university, we simplified the system, converting marks into credits and defining a certain number of credits that a student has to earn for securing master's degree. And converting that, we developed a simple system of 25 marks will be equal to 1 credit. And for 25 marks, you have to have a certain number of lectures. So our system says 72 credits for masters. 60 credits have to be taken from the core. These are the subjects which are essential for this core area in which you are taking your master's degree. 12 you can take from anywhere. Languages, music, arts, science, law, whatever it is, depending on your interests. So your area diversifies. And if that diversifies, then maybe, even if you are a botanist, if you have taken a credit structure in arts, maybe you have more passion for art. Maybe you can become an artist,
Right.
and become a professional artist, or maybe become a translator, or maybe become an animation artist.
So the options are not limited.
Options widen up.
Yes.
So that is what is the purpose of the new education policy also.
Right.
To increase your horizons and don't restrict your knowledge base to 1 or 2 or 3 subjects only. And I'm proud to say that this thing is working very effectively in the Northeastern University. We started this when many universities were yet to visualize how to start and implement choice-based credit system. But we could do it effectively without much of hitches. There were hitches, but we solved all those hitches, and we are very much ready to take up the challenges of NEP 2020 also, with the background expertise and experience that we have out of the implementation of CBCS. That part well taken. There are difficulties, that is about the implementation component. So those will be taken care of as the things move ahead.
Right. So just out of curiosity, also, like, you've dedicated more than 3 decades of your life to this institution, and you've, transformed over the years. So what has been your important takeaways, and what have you really learned? Like, what has been your journey like?
It has been full of challenges as well as opportunities. And personally, I like to take challenges,
Right.
and convert the challenges into a productive opportunity. We had a big challenge in this university for implementing the choice-based credit system, which we could, and I was part of the driving force at that time for a choice-based credit system. Different programs were implemented at different stages of the establishment of this university. Like during my tenure as the head of the department, we thought that we are producing a certain number of graduates in a certain area, and these graduates are going into the colleges. These are the graduates in botany. And is it that there is a certain level of saturation that is happening, or is it that do we have a need to diversify? So during that time we started another program, that is the plant molecular biology, without any additional support. With the inputs from this department's faculty, it has been operating continuously and running good for the last more than, I think now, 10 years, 12 years. But it was a challenge to conceptualize a program at a master's level. There was a challenge when we started industrial internship as an essential component of our master's degree program. How to get students into institutions or industry as a part of their master's program. There were challenges in that, but we were successful. I will give a remembrance when the first time we started this, some of our students didn't understand what it meant. Okay. They didn't understand how to approach an industry for internship. And now we have that phase over. Students get themselves placed on industry and they ask, sir, when are we going to go for the internship programs? And again, I feel happy. NEP lays emphasis on internship, right, which gives the industrial training to all the students that we have.
So when we're talking about internship and skill development, I think the whole discussion that we had, that the industry is more skill based than academic based, how important do you think is, exposure to the students apart from what they learn in labs or in classrooms?
No, it's very important. is very important. What they learned in the labs is something which is purely academic.
Right.
But when you take this knowledge to the field, in a field what we expect from you as a worker is to transform that knowledge skill into problem solving approach. And problem solving approach can come only if you are tuned to working in an environment, competitive environment in which problems exist. And that can happen only if professional training or internship is brought as an essential component of your teaching program.
So do you think the present education system accommodates the idea?
Not much, but the NEP is accommodating it.
Okay.
Is in fact emphasizing it. In Western countries, industrial training is an important component. In India, it was thought to be an important component only in certain disciplines, like in architecture, like in engineering. Same way as we have for medicine, after completion of the medicine, there's an internship program. So it was limited. In law, it was. But in the core subjects of purely which were considered as natural sciences, this was not considered as a part. But now things are moving in the direction that what you learn from your core subjects have to be translated into a productive gain through involvement of internship. That's now changing.
So most of the concerns that are being raised also involve like how the members or the students are not proactive enough, because industry standards require you to be proactive and out there. So what do you think? Is this like the error of the system, or is it individually like comes down to the students?
No, I think a student is always raw.
Okay.
And we have to accept this. He or she is to be tuned. His thinking is to be tuned, his approach is to be tuned in a direction that he starts asking himself or herself questions. What am I to do? How I will do it? And our job as mentors or as teachers is to help the students in gaining that confidence,
Right.
gaining that expertise. Teaching is not going to the class and just writing on the board or making a PowerPoint presentation. I don't consider that as a teaching. Most of my time in the teaching goes in asking questions. That's not to test the knowledge, but that is to bring out the questioning ability in the student so that he asks a question, tries to get an answer for that question, and then responds by an action plan to that question. It's our job as teachers to motivate the minds for that type of activity, that they understand internship is very, very important, and industrial activity has to be, like I give in chemistry. A student can take up master's program in chemistry, but how to translate the knowledge into a chemical industry? That he will understand only when he or she works, say in petroleum industry, say in pharmaceutical industry. Similarly, a student doing masters in plant sciences, and there's say diascorea, it's a diisogenin it produces. How to harvest this? We have a molecule, a compound which is called rutin. It's very costly. 10 milligram costs us 90,000 rupees.
Okay.
And this is a large amount produced by buckwheat leaves. So one way of doing it is that yes, it is done. The second way of doing is how it is synthesized by the plant. Once we know how it is synthesized, the third point is, can we use this knowledge to enhance this synthesis or increase the synthesis and use a pathway to commercially produce buckwheat rutin within the plant. So we have developed a protocol for transforming black rice to produce rutin. Okay. So this is how you learn from your basic knowledge, but then translate that basic knowledge into an applied aspect. But that's our job.
As a conclusion, what would be your message to anybody who's a curious person or anybody who's interested in the science and maths and technology? What would be your message?
Well, to be honest with you, messages don't work in the current day world. That is an academic question. But then, how do you ask the students to learn, and how do you train the students to learn is important. My message, after having gone through the 34 years of study here, is to develop first the concept of what you want to do. And whatever you want to do, the world is ahead of you, provided you perform. So performance in whatever field, you may be even a simple artist. You don't need to be a science graduate only. You may be anything. Performance is important, and for that you have to develop your skill. That's one. If you are good in your subject, if you are good in your discipline, the world is ahead of you. But you have to improve and performance. So learn from your mistakes, number one. Try to improve on your mistakes and develop your focus. What you have to do 10 years hence. Not that you come to MSc and then we ask you what you want to do, you say, I have not thought about it. That does not work. And have patience. Life provides for opportunities. There are difficulties also, but we have to learn from our difficulties and convert the opportunities into productive gains. That's what I think would be for the future generation. Ultimately, what we have to see is how to improve our society, how to improve our economic conditions, and how to improve the standard of the country as a whole. That's what I was saying.
Right. Thank you so much. It was
You're
a pleasure
welcome.
talking to you, and I'm sure the viewers and I myself have learned a lot from this conversation.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure to be here with you.
In today's episode of Career Guidance, we indeed learned a lot of things from Professor Chrungoo, who told us so much about molecular biology, botany, among many others. I hope you had a good time just like I did. This is your host, Nikita Gadal, signing off for today. Stay tuned to Doordarshan Meghalaya.